Since the end of chapter 236, following the battle of Satoru Gojo and Ryomen Sukuna, fans were left feeling many ways. Many fans were unhappy that their beloved Gojo was simply defeated, while some knew it had to happen to move the story forward, but they were still unhappy about the way that his death came. Gojo, after being named the victor, was killed off screen between a chapter transition as if he were a side character, and this left a bad taste in people's mouths. Since then, there have been a lot of conversation within the community about if Gojo could return, how he could return, if it would even be a good idea to have him return, and if it would make sense. I won't answer all of these questions today, but instead I'll pose my own theory for how we could see the return of the Six Eyes in the story of Jujutsu Kaisen. But before I get to that, I like to say that if you enjoy this video, smack the like button and subscribe. You knew it was coming. Anyway, to talk about my theory, I also have to speak on a thought that I always have when it comes to mangaka planning out their stories. I don't want to pretend that I'm half as good as a writer as someone like Gege Akutami, but I do believe, or like to believe, that writers often set up certain things as contingencies, just in case things go south later in the story, or if there was ever a need to have a character spring into action that we either haven't seen for a while like Miguel, or maybe we just don't know what their fate was because it's been left up in the air and ambiguous like Nobara's. I think sometimes the author even sprinkles in things to make it so that plot points they plan to touch on much later make sense if you think about it or do a reread, and in this case, I think it's a little bit of each. Like I said, this is all a theory, so feel free to call me out and say there's no way it'll happen, but my theory requires really only one thing to happen, and what is that exactly? Well, it's the return of Kenjaku. Yes, currently the story is sprinting towards its conclusion, and Gege said at Jump Festa that they don't plan to see another Jump Festa while Jujutsu Kaisen is serializing, and that could be true, but I think there's definitely still potential for more storytelling even after the behemoth of a villain Sukuna is defeated. One thing I will always come back to in this series is the statement that Reggie made as he was being defeated by Megami, and it's that all sorcerers are con men. In almost every fight, you can see this being true as characters trick and lead each other on in order to get the upper hand or simply survive. And even though we saw Kenjaku beheaded, I think his last-ditch effort to make his goals live on by using the Kogane to transfer the permission to start the merger over to Sukuna is yet another misdirect. I know I'm not the only one who was sad when they saw Kenjaku defeated, especially in the way he was beaten. You can call it cope all you want, but it's still crazy to look back and see all that Kenjaku has done for the story. Seriously, without Kenjaku creating Yuji along with all of the other many things he's done in at least 1,000 years of life, it doesn't feel like seeing him return is out of the question to me. Factoring in that he spent all of that time in the field fighting for his life, wheeling and making deals with other strong sorcerers, body hopping, and even achieving feats like surviving a black hole when he faced Yuki, is just a lot to think Gege is completely done with his character by having him be beheaded. As you can see, I still have a lot of stocks in Kenjaku. With all his plans and techniques and tricks, I think at some point, most likely after Sukuna has been defeated, Kenjaku will rear his head up again. I know this video was about the Six Eyes returning, and I'm about to get to that, so be patient. Similar to Orochimaru being killed off by Sasuke, only to still be alive inside of Sasuke's curse mark and then making an appearance at the end of Sasuke's fight with his brother, I think Kenjaku will make his final appearance when the merger takes place. Maybe his face will be the one we see on the merger beast, maybe the merger will just be some ugly monstrosity. Who of us is to say really, but this was his goal. To create a chaos that even he couldn't control. And we never did get a flashback. But what we do know about Kenjaku's past is that it has been entwined with the Six Eyes for years. Besides the flashback that may show us more, there are two things that I want to look at when I say the Six Eyes will return. The first is during the time when Yuji and the gang first meet up with Lord Tengen. She tells them about Kenjaku's goal with creating the Culling Games along with their many run-ins with the Gojo clan. Tengen tells us that in the past, Kenjaku had been working on his plan but lost to sorcerers that wielded the Six Eyes several times. After being defeated the second time, and then the second user having died to unknown causes, Kenjaku hunted down the third Six Eyes user and killed them along with the Star Plasma Vessel less than a month after they were born. After killing them as children and attempting to move forward with his plan, another Six Eyes user was born on the day of Tengen's merger along with another vessel for Tengen, and after failing to stop Tengen's merger for the third time, Kenjaku set out to find the Prince Realm so that he could just seal the Six Eyes away. Because two users of the Six Eyes cannot exist at once, he would one day lock the six-eyed user away so that no one would be able to stop him and come to Tengen's aid when the time came. Tengen does speak about Toji killing Gojo and breaking their chains of fate, but I think that those chains only bind the Six Eyes, Tengen, and the Star Plasma Vessel together, and that since fate isn't exactly something you can see, Tengen may not know the full scope of it. But from what we can see, every time Kenjaku wanted to make a move and interfere with the merger, someone with the Six Eyes appeared to stop him. Now, I know what you're thinking. Gojo is dead, and you have heard 1,000 theories already about how he's going to come back. And going back to what I was saying earlier about authors laying down the foundation to make plays later, Sukuna mentions Gojo's body disappearing, and it's revealed that Ui is taking people back to Shoko to be healed. I'll go ahead and say it now. I'm not about to give you one of those theories. For the last point I would like to make about how the Six Eyes could return, I want to remind you of the Zenin clan massacre. After Maki returned home, hoping to claim weapons to use in the culling games, her hand was forced and she ended up slaughtering her entire clan. And while this was a very hype moment in the story and for her character, the thing I want to focus on isn't that. It's what's stated after Maki kills everyone. Several days after the Zenin clan was wiped out, the Kamo clan and the Gojo clan proposed removing the Zenin clan from the big three families, but Jujutsu headquarters were putting their decision on hold. We now know that the decision made by the Kamo clan was Kenjaku, but who on earth was the Gojo clan representative? Throughout the entire series, we have never seen another Gojo clan member besides the woman shown in Satoru's flashback, and it's stated that Satoru is basically the main guy in the clan. Since clans are all pretty much just for political power anyway, none of them have ever mattered enough to mention. But what if there was someone still around and either they agreed with the motion to remove the Zenin clan or they were forced to agree by Kenjaku? It's possible this mystery clan member exists and were convinced to make that decision, and it could also be because they just weren't confident in their strength or afraid of Kenjaku, if that were the case. But it could also just be someone who was next in line that also didn't care for the Zenin clan. What I'm thinking is that, regardless of the circumstances causing them to vote in favor of removing the Zenin clan from power, we know that the Six Eyes cannot exist within two sorcerers at the same time, but we don't know if they can transfer or awaken within another who's already living. I think that when the smoke clears from the battle with Sukuna, Kenjaku will make a last appearance, either after Sukuna has initiated the merger, or after surprising everyone when they think they've stopped the threat by killing Sukuna, and Kenjaku will force the merger, leaving everyone shocked by his survival. After a few chapters of fighting the merger, this last Gojo member could make their appearance. Similar to Miguel's, who had conditions for joining the fight, they would see Sukuna defeated and Kenjaku's weakened state as a perfect opportunity to step in and deal the finishing blows, thus spitting in Kenjaku's face as the Six Eyes emerges one final time. While I do want to say this theory has the potential to be very much like Black Zetsu defeating Madara, it could also work, and I think there are enough breadcrumbs laid out for it to happen, even though it may truly be unlikely. For those wondering what this sorcerer would even be able to do, I like to share some tweets from a thread my buddy Lucky Sonata made last year on Twitter. In this thread, they talked about a character named Nine from one of Gege's one-shots and their ability to be incorporated into the story of Jujutsu Kaisen at the time. He talked about how Nine shared many similarities to characters like Gojo and Yuki, and even proposed that his character could be a relative of Yuki's who would then make an appearance after her death, and how he had similar goals like achieving world peace and had a toy box ability that did similar things to Gojo's ability to attract and repel. The character also used a large assortment of weapons, from a hammer like Nobara, a long chain like Toji, and we even see them use a bow like Noritoshi Kamo or Sukuna when using the fire arrow. Of course, for my theory, there would have to be some slight changes to have someone like Nine appear as the long-lost Gojo clan member. This way we would get to see one last Gojo clan member before the story completely ended, even if it were just in the final moments. Maybe they don't have to be someone nearly as powerful as Satoru, but they could be someone just strong enough to stop Kenjaku, and that's all that matters. That's pretty much it for this video. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe and turn your notification bell on so you don't miss the next one. Do you think Satoru will return, or will we possibly see another Gojo clan member? How would you feel if my theory turned out to be true? And do you think Jujutsu Kaisen is ending in 2024? I'll leave you with those questions. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.